everyone. Pleasure to be here talking to you about the intersection of product and experience. I want to start by sharing a little bit about me. So a little bit about me. My initial background was a developer. I'm a technologist by training, a couple of degrees in computer science, and still like to get my hands dirty once in a while. Crazy. I transitioned into product in early 2000s, and my first role came as for a small startup called WeatherBug, and they did weather APIs, things like weather.com. So basically, they had weather data, and that was my transition into product. I did product for WeatherBug, Marriott, moved over to AARP to stand up the product discipline, and then my journey took me to Capital One, where I stood up a design team for developer experience, in addition to leading design for their HR platforms, audit, finance, and risk. In my most recent life, I'm an entrepreneur. I've joined a small business, Agilous, and I'm starting up a product and design practice there. So do check us out. We have a website refresh going out next week, where you will see me as part of the journey there. As I have shared, I love product. I love product because it brings the best of tech, product design all together. And it's my passion that led me to write my first book, Empathy and Arrogance. It's the paradox of digital products. And you will see some of this as I go through my conversation. The personal side of me, I have two daughters. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I live in the DC metro area. And I'm a lover of books. I love books. I love coffee, and I love outdoors. So weekends, you'll find me at a coffee shop somewhere with a book. And that's my best way to spend my weekend. Love to turn it over to you. Because product is a mix of so many disciplines, I would love to know what disciplines do you represent? Do you represent product, tech, design, lean and agile, marketing? Please share, because understanding where the audience is from will help me, gear my conversation as I go through the slides.
So Julie's saying lean and agile. Manjeet is saying product development and lean agile. Deepak agile. Lean and agile product development, all of the above except marketing, development, design, agile and product development.
I think we have a mix of several disciplines. I think more leaning on product development and lean and agile. So while we won't lean a lot into agile, I will be talking more about the overall and how the disciplines blend together. The approach I have taken today is taking a case study approach. It's a deep and dense topic, and I felt like a case study approach could really, we could get to the weeds, to the meats of it. And so during a conversation, I will share a bit about product and service. We'll talk about phases of the customer journey. We will talk about KPIs, and this is a blend of when I ask marketing, because product and product and marketers look at KPIs. I think designers do too. And so we'll talk about KPIs. We will go a little bit deeper into your customer journey and how you should be thinking about your customer journey. Because the prompt is, we are playing detective. There's a product that's not working. We're going to learn to narrow down the problem, diagnose it, and fix it. And then, as Maggie said, we'll conclude with questions. So I will keep the presentation going, and then we'll pause for questions towards the end. So here is kind of the problem. A website, and this is a real problem I have faced. I've fictionized it, removed all the data from here, so I'm not giving away any proprietary information, but we can definitely talk about it later. a website struggled with purchase and conversions. So when we did research, customers were very aware of this brand, and its once very, very popular loyalty program was now not seeing the attraction that it once did. And so the problem was, what is going on with our, with our program? How do we need to change the program? Or is it our service that is really, is it our product or is it our service that is, that is blotched? So let's take a look into the organization. And in a traditional world, it gave out, it's basically, when you think about its offerings, they were tangible products. You could go into a restaurant, you could use their, your loyalty, basically show your card, get a discount off a meal, or you could use it on a service. And when I say service, it's the intangible, right? And so you could use it both for products and for services. And members were very clear on what the membership bought them. But as they transitioned into a digital world, and when you think of the digital world, there has been so much increase in products and services, and ecosystems have become so complex that there is no difference between, where does a product end, where does a service begin, and so forth. I'm going to walk you through an example. So purchasing a book from a store. In the traditional world, the member would walk into a store. If they knew what topic book they were looking for, they'd walk onto the shelf, find books, compare a couple of books, figure out which one they wanted, at checkout, show their card. Boom, there was, they got their discount, very easy to use. Now, the scenario started to get more complex. With digital stores like your Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, now the members were trying to shop at digital stores, and they were struggling with that experience. When you add yet another layer of complexity, now we have e-products, which is your ebooks, and combine that with a digital store, the problem starts to get more and more complicated. And so where in a traditional world, it was very clear, what are you selling, what are you buying, what is your, what are you getting for your, for your value. In a digital world, the experiences have become very complex. They have blended in, and they've blended in together. And so this organization, they were really struggling with, we had our products and services. Now this membership is digital. We have a shop. We have listed all our same programs that worked really well. They're online, but something's not working because our numbers are showing that business is not as good as it used to be. So organization, as well as its vendors, they were all frustrated. So that is the problem. How do we understand, how do we break this cycle, and how do we bring that traction back? So the talk today is about playing detective. And the first thing is always about, understanding your customer and the journey. In a traditional world, as we described it, walking into a store, picking up a book, checking, comparing 2 or 3 books, checking out, was simple. But now when you think about a customer journey, generally, this is kind of like a very baseline journey. Starts with awareness. Customer becomes, searching for an answer to a problem, becomes aware of an organization and its services, or maybe become aware of the products and services, and then figures out which organization is providing it. They weigh multiple offerings that can solve the problem. They purchase. And then there's the whole thing of fulfillment, which earlier was not a phase, but now I think fulfillment by itself can have a whole separate, vertical on getting services. You engage with the product or service, and if you like it, you go back. So now the company, the organization has a loyal, a customer. And last but not the least, if they're really happy, they advocate for you. So this is in a very, high level. This is kind of the phase of the journey. With digital, as the journey has become so streamlined and it has extended, if there's a problem, you're going, where has this process broken? Where is it broken? And so you go like, you're looking end to end, you're looking at the entire journey and you're going, where is this journey possibly broken? So we are going to go, how do we find it? How do we find where the error is? Where are we losing our users? How do we streamline that experience? The interesting thing about digital, and I think as you can see, the impact almost like 2-3 decades later is data. Data is king. AI, ML is all the rage. But if you look back and you compare it to the traditional world, when you walked into a store, I don't think anyone measured how much foot traffic a store is getting, how many people are walking in. If you're going up, picking up 5 books from a shelf, you didn't know, your customer and what books they're looking at. You probably knew checkout because the metrics were always measured in what is the end, business that the shop or the bookstore is bringing in. Now, contrast this with the digital world. From the time you walk into the store, or may I say, even before you walk into a digital store, you have probably clicked on something, you've probably done a search, or you've clicked on an ad, or you looked and you received an email, or you looked at a video. But we have data. We know where you started and where you first engaged with the organization. Moving on to now you're in the store. I'm putting store in quotes. So you're on this website or an app, and we know there you are. I can tell you within seconds, everything you have, every possible thing you have touched, every book you possibly checked in the store. I can see what did you compare. I can see what you put in the shopping cart. I can see where you even dropped off. Did I lose you right moment you came into the store? Or did I lose you as you were shopping? I can see all the way. And when I see, it's the data. And the data is telling me a story. And you put things in the cart, but even long after you have checked off, you have left, we have shipped something to you, or you have used a service, you have probably left, you have rated the service, maybe in a third-party store. But in today's digital world, you can see end-to-end, where what's happening all the way from the first interaction with the company, organization, all the way to the end. And so when you start to play detective, the first thing is tracing the breadcrumbs. And in this particular case, this is just what I'm sharing with you is a very baseline view of key performance indicators. Your organization has data somewhere, hidden somewhere. This is very high level before you get to the store, whether you've seen an ad, how many views, how many impressions, share of voice. There are very sleek tools out there which can tell you what are the customers saying about you in the marketplace as compared to your competitors. You have likes, you have shares, you have forwards. Man, there is data out there. And the point is understanding what data is important and what do you want. When you're in the store or you're using a service, that you are in this organization, this company's ether, whether it is an app or in a physical store or on a website, we are tracking. Everyone's tracking because the sessions, how many times you're coming, how many uniques, So I'm only counting you once. What is the engagement on the page? What did you browse? What did you filter on? How much time did you spend on the page? What did you purchase? I put adoption rate because the same thing can also, this same scenario applies for your internal products that you're building for your associates, whether you're building an API platform or data as a service or your HR platforms. It's the same basic principles that we are talking about today. Retention, your scores, customer satisfaction, are you coming back for more, the engagement, and then the referrals. So there is data. And so in order to find out where we will losing our customers, the thing was to find data. And if any company, I've worked for small company, I've worked for big companies actually. I can't even say I've worked for a small company. I've worked for generally big companies, and data is hard to find. Because if you think of big companies, each part of the customer journey lives within a different organization. And unless you have standards on data, your data is being stored in very different ways across the organizations. And so the struggle is finding the data to understand the story. And that is what we did with the organization. We figured out one, of this thing of data, this ocean of data, lake of data lakes, which are the pieces of data we need? Where are they stored? How can we get that data? And because we had to tell a story and convince the organization to change what we were doing. And so it was understanding, finding the data. And the approach we took was literally going across all these different databases, data lakes, different tools, identifying. And the approach we used was simple, very key. What are the top data points we need? Stitch it together in Tableau. But we had data. And after we had the data, what we learned was, hey, marketing's working great. So kudos, marketing, you're off the hook. You're doing your job well. But moment you come on the website, what offers, what we knew at one point were really popular, like people where they were really engaging, and these were the most popular things why the store made most of their money on, they were no longer being viewed or purchased or redeemed. So you're going, okay, so you didn't even view it, and if you did not view it, you can't purchase or redeem it. So why are you no longer viewing this offer? What was really interesting was some offers were more popular than the others. And that was strange because it contradicted what our market intelligence was telling us. This audience goes after this kind of offers. We had really good market intelligence. So that was we scratched our head like, this is not aligning with what our hypotheses were about which segment goes after which offers. So going to give you a quick summary. The first part, what we discussed, what we spoke about was the complexity of digital. Journeys are getting complex. You can go all the way from your journeys are getting longer. Your product and services are blending together. The second step was, where do you start? And start taking a data-based approach and understanding what the journey is for your customer and understanding the data and seeing what story is your data telling you, because data is human data. It will tell you a story about your human behavior. And so now that we know what the problem was, now we come to know your customer. So what data was telling us was what is happening, but data was not telling us why it is happening, right? And in order to know why, you can always have hypotheses, but you need to validate those hypotheses now. And in order to validate, you can either do A/B testing, you could, do quick concepts. And we were like, let's do this. Let's go talk to our customers. So we hit the road. We knew where our members were. We had enough data to say which cities they were most concentrated in. And so we had focus groups in multiple cities across US to understand. While we were there, we ideated with them to say, tell us how you shop. We didn't go narrow. We did not do usability testing. We did not pull up our app and our thing and go, tell us what's working. We took a step back because, hey, we have them, we have traveled, we have paid money, we are here. Let's get the most for it. Tell us about your shopping behavior. Tell us what is working and not working. Now tell us about you would shop with this company and now you don't. Tell us why. And if you shop now, so we have gone broad, we have come down. How do you, look at this and tell us how you would redesign this? So it wasn't a usability testing, but a generative research with narrowing it down to a usability testing. Here is a framework I like. This is a personal choice. There are a lot of frameworks out there. To understand my customer, I really like a jobs to be done framework. And I think all my teams in the past will tell you my bias for it. I can tell you why. I think most organizations start with the product. I'm going to build this. Now I'm going to go find my customer. The right way, I think, is you have to start with the people first, because people are hiring a product to do a job, and they're going to fire the product when the product no longer does the job. And so you have to understand what is that customer problem? What is the need that they're looking for a product? I also like this framework because it gives you a common language between product, marketing, and design. Because normally the three talk very different languages. And it gives you this common framework to talk about consumers and markets and products. And I talk about markets because if you're hiring a product, you're going to say, what else is out there? You're doing your competitive research. So this framework is very robust, gives you all those different angles. When we talk about jobs to be done, there is a statement that normally goes job statement, which is the why. What is the pain point? I want to clean my house quickly, or I want to feel accomplished. So it can be emotional, or it could be something tangible. The why is the struggles. What is the pain point? What are you trying to, what problem does it solve? There is always a context. What in relation to what? It helps you with the context, and it tells you what is the ideal outcome this customer desires. Some statements, I'll show you very quickly, some statements that you can use here. Okay, I'm doing okay on time. I was doing a quick time check. So some statements can be like right now, when I'm working remotely, I need a video conferencing tool that's easy to set up so I can participate in meetings without technical hassles. It tells you all four: the why, the what, the when, and the ideal. Here's another one for research. I'm recruiting participants. Why? Because I want to automate the screening and scheduling so I can move them fast through the study. What is the circumstance? Tell me what you're trying to do. Tell me what is the need and the pain point. For designers, and as well as for product people, this really helps you make really good, robust personas. Because generally when you see personas of your customers, this age, about this need. This is what it is. It is vague. I've had designers tell me that the personas are not really helpful, but I think they're not helpful because we are not leveraging them right. We are not building them with robust data. And if you use this framework, you look at all four, components, you start to build, you start to understand, and you start to really find the nuances in your customer segments. So now we are understanding our customer. That's our step 3. Oh, I love this one. It is customer journey. We spoke about journey all the way in the front. Remember, step 1 was, what is the journey? Where are you losing your customer? Your journey is very specific to your company. You cannot have a generic journey. The first bullet point here, your journey is part of a bigger journey. So if you're trying to find out why your checkout is not working, talk to the team before yours. And when I say before yours, who's managing the journey before you in the selection phase. Tell me your data because you're trying to stitch that data together to get a complete picture. So if your journey is part of a bigger journey, understand the bigger journey. Understand where the customers are coming from to your product and then how are they going away. Details, details, details. Devil is always in the details. And if you're looking at artifacts, please do not build artifacts just for the heck of building them. I've seen teams do it, just lip service. Your blueprints are your best friends. If you do not know your customer, you do not know your blueprints, you do not know all the steps they take, you might as well just roll it up and be done. But the devil is in the details, and you have to know your journey very well. You have to know your customer like the back of your hand. Where are they going? What are they doing? Where are they clicking? What's the experience? So now we know everything about the customer, right? So we know about the customer, we know about their journeys, we have the data, we have understood where we were losing them. Now we come back and we have to streamline the experience. I love Steve Jobs. One, he was brilliant. He was a brilliant designer. But I think what was really most amazing about him was he taught us the power of simplicity. I have a Mac. I won't try to lift it up. Please, I disconnect. I have a cell phone here. How can we simplify the experience? Remember, you can lose the user within seconds. The point is to hook them, to keep them in the flow. If you are designing, I see forms that we sometimes design. It makes me mad. I feel we have digitized an analog form. The point is not to digitize. The point is to innovate. A very simple example, because I led developer experience. Developers need APIs, and I love APIs. Why would you bring your developer to an API portal and then show them, search through this for the APIs you want? And it makes me go mad. What is a better experience? Tell me the data points you're looking for, and now let me show you the APIs. How can we simplify that experience? If your user clicked on an ad because I love books, of a book, why would you bring them to a page and then let them lose and have clutter where they're lost? Simplify that experience because you know the customer's intent. You're not digitizing, you're simplifying and you're innovating on that experience. UI design is an art. The best designers, this is not my skill, but I have a lot of reverence for UI designers because your UI should tell you the impact. This is from someone on LinkedIn. Want to give her credit. The way I've had my designers when they present go, you start with the business case. For example, the users in this case, they're not browsing. They're not browsing at the categories, so they don't know they don't know the breadth of benefits. So that is what we learned. And so when you're presenting your design, you go, this design will help users find the breadth of discounts we offer. Your design has to be intentional. Because you know a problem, it has to be literally, this is all my customer needs to do what they want to do the job, and you move them along. So now, what was the result of the case study that I was sharing with you? We increased engagement by 50%, a ridiculous number, because our research showed that members, they were not able to find the benefits. Our design was a list. It was a list of all the benefits. In digital, you're almost thinking of digital merchandising. How am I showcasing? If this is my one display screen, how am I showcasing my wares so people can see it? They don't have to search because they're not going to search. And I think changing one small design feature, we used a carousel where they could quickly look at all the do you want, restaurant benefits versus do you want healthcare benefits? Very different, but you know exactly what you want. Our checkouts basically doubled. When we when we did our research, we learned that our redemptions instructions were so unclear. And it's complex. I won't tell you it's easy. It's very complex because we have gone from a physical to a digital. And now you're going to pay for something, then you're going to take this voucher, you're going to redeem it. It was complex. They did not understand. So they would rather not purchase because they didn't know how to use a benefit. In our mobile experience, what we learned was that we were using QR codes so they could just scan. We thought we were cool. It was all great, but our QR codes were really small. The scanning was not easy. They had to pop open yet another window to get a QR code. That whole experience was clunky. And so we went and we cleaned that experience up. But by changing three things, the stakeholders were happy, the vendors were happy, and we had a really, the team was happy. We did some brilliant work. But that is basically the story, the case study. Some takeaways. When you think of product, please think experience, especially in today's world where design is being thrown out of the window. Design is not the icing on the cake. Design is the cake. You can have the best technology. I've learned this when building, remember, come from technology, you build the best software. It will not work until you know your customers and you have that experience. So design is key. Your journey is key. Customer journeys are complex. Take the time to get into the details. Track data. If your product person or if is not asking even tech folks in the room, you can say, how will I know this is impactful? How do I know if this is solving the problem? So ask for data, jobs to be done, product framework literally focuses on the customer, simplicity, and clear storytelling in UI. Your UI has to be clean. Please do not create digital forms. Please make it engaging for the user as they were literally walking through the experience. And data is not just quantitative, it's not just numbers, it's qualitative as well. So use both quantitative and qualitative data to diagnose and improve the customer experience. That's what I have for you today.